die.
It's just a really fun, quirky song, and I really like it. Friedrich Niejack.
Hey music fans, and welcome back to our David Bowie album review series. It's been a few months since we reviewed The Man Who Sold the World. We are going to get back into reviewing the Bowie albums, and today we are going to be reviewing his 1971 album, Hunky Dory. This is it here. And Nick and Bryer have returned to talk about this David Bowie classic. Do we have any background information?
Background information!
Yes. Yes. All right, so going from The Man Who Sold the World to this album, I've said this last episode, but again, The Man Who Sold the World did not really do that well either, like his other albums before. Definitely a step up musically, but just commercially still not really in favor. And so Bowie just kind of spent a lot of his time largely touring and just really wanted to start focusing more on the songwriting a bit more. Other things he did a radio tour, and he even was going across America around this time, and he was really taking inspiration from a lot of his favorite American artists that he was a big fan of. And when it came time to actually sit down to record the album, this was actually a little bit different because every album he did prior was written on an acoustic guitar first, but this is the first album where he decided to use a piano instead. And you can definitely tell on this album there's a lot more piano on this, and so you get a lot more melodic kind of tendencies, which we'll talk more as we go into it. And he recorded tons of songs during this time, and when it came to who's going to play on the album, again, kind of recap, he kind of had a bad foot forward with his bands, Mick Ronson and the other guys, because by that point, David was kind of not really there through most of it. But when it came to this recording session, he was a lot more focused, a lot more dedicated this time, and he was able to convince Mick Ronson and everyone else to kind of come back. The only different person was a bass player. They brought in Trevor Boulder on bass this time. You have Ken Scott on engineer on this one again. And yeah, this was also an album where he would collaborate with other people, the most notable one being Rick Wakeman, who was in a band called the Straubs originally. But then he kind of did some session work, and this was running up the same year he would later join Yes. So interesting to hear something kind of pre-Yes Rick Wakeman, which is very cool. Of course, he played on Space Oddity prior, so there's that. And album covers, and this is actually a good time we're talking about this album cover, because in the first episode I mentioned that the person who's responsible for David's kind of messed up eyes, George Underwood, he's back, and he actually went to the good old George and asked him, because they took a photo. This was an actual photo they got, very 1930s aesthetic, kind of the inspiration for it. And it was just a standard photo, but they went to George and they asked him, like, hey, can you like kind of change it up a little bit, kind of take that photo and make it look like it's been painted. And so George and his team went ahead and gave us this cover, and it's an actual photo, but they put lots of paints on it to make it look like it was an actual painting. So nice to kind of see that George and David, they patched things up. No bad blood between them now. And the term hunky dory, from what I read, kind of came about because it was based around someone's landlord. I don't know whose landlord it was, but apparently they said hunky dory a lot, and they just thought it was funny. And so they thought, oh, that'd be a nice name for this album. And of course, they finished the album, and it's released December 17th, 1971. Funny enough, it didn't sell that well initially. It took some bit of time for it to actually gain momentum, largely because it was not until the next album, which of course we'll talk about. Once that album got really big, it kind of helped boost this album's sales a bit too. And so eventually it did peak at number 3 in the UK. Again, just took a while, but it got there. And today it is considered one of Bowie's, like, his first like truly good album. Like, again, Man Who Sold the World is a very underrated album, but in terms of kind of has a lot of the more commercial side of things, and of course it contains a lot of what would become David's like big classic tracks. It's definitely the first one which has a lot of them.
Changes is our first song on this album.
Changes is a great song. I mean, it's one of those songs where, I mean, honestly, I personally associate with Shrek 2 when Donkey, Shrek, and Fiona become, as Donkey would say, we're sexy. Obviously, it's not the David Bowie version they chose. Wish it was the David Bowie, but that's how I first heard the song, and I liked it then. And when I discovered the David Bowie version, I really liked it after that. And this has always been one of my favorite songs on the album. It's really, really good.
I love the piano at the beginning of this. How that's the first song on the album. It's like the boom, 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 boom. Dun 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 dun. And that's Rick Wakeman from Yes doing the piano. So I think that's really interesting. Dude is a keyboard genius. If you've heard him do stuff like Roundabout or stuff like that, it's like the dude's just like all over the place. But it's interesting to hear him do not like a crazy keyboard solo, but just like play the piano. And you get the verse. The verse kind of has some interesting chord changes in there. And you get that extremely catchy chorus. Turn and face the strange changes. Time may change me, and I can't trace time. Yeah, love that. Love the bridge section with the strange fascinating me. And even like the line, turn and face the strange changes. Like, really cool. It's basically kind of saying like music, and I guess whatever, even like his own music, because he's always changing. It's like everything is always changing. The culture too, because we just switched from the 1960s to the 1970s. So I guess it's not just music, it's just culture in general is changing. And he's kind of saying, like, criticizing the people being like, where is everything going? He's like, everything's always in motion. Like, might as well just like embrace for the unknown and just find out what happens, you know? So really cool song. Love that it's the opener on here.
Yeah, I agree. It's an excellent opening track because it pretty much really sets the tone for the whole album, especially with the piano coming in, and just the drum beats once it starts to kick in. I just like the sound of it. Some great saxophone playing, which I believe was done by David, because I know he played saxophone a lot, so that was really cool. Kind of hear some of that, especially at the end as the song's kind of fading out. It's like you still hear the saxophone going off. Like, yeah, that's just a nice little touch. String arrangement is really cool. Apparently arranged by Mick Ronson himself, which is pretty interesting, pretty cool, because that's again showing Mick's whole kind of range. and the chorus is just absolutely really catchy. The whole changes, yeah, and even the verses I really love. Just how David has this kind of almost very tender sort of vocal he's putting on here, which I think is great. And overall, it's just an excellent opening track, and again, it's one of his classic tracks. One of the big ones. It did become a single, but the single didn't come out till the next year. I didn't write down how high it charted, but still, though, I think it was an excellent way to open the album.
Okay, the second track on this album is "Oh You Pretty Things."
Okay, Oh You Pretty Things. Great follow-up. Kind of gets more into that singer-songwriter feel that we kind of just started. And another really, really good song on the album. Oh, you pretty things. Oh, you pretty things. It's very catchy song. Like this is like the first kind of almost like a pop song almost. Like the last 3 albums you weren't really getting that. Even with Space Oddity, I wouldn't say it's like a pop song. It's more of like a journey into space kind of feel. This is like it feels like a kind of like a bouncy pop song, and I think it's a really fun song. And well, we're not going to read it right now, but it goes pretty well into the next one.
Again, the piano on this album is so good. I like the intro. Boom, 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 doom, doom, boom, 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 boom. Interesting chords there on the verse, and kind of interesting lyrics. I think it's supposed to be about like some kind of science fiction thing and about the end of the world. And when you get to the chorus, David Bowie is definitely wearing his influences on his sleeve because he name drops 2 bands that he really likes. The Pretty Things and the Mamas and the Papas were both very popular in the 60s. And so David Bowie kind of picked those particular lyrics because he wanted to pay homage to them. I love the chorus, "Oh, you pretty things. Don't you know you're driving your mamas and papas insane?" Yeah, really catchy. And then it goes well with the piano there. I think it's also interesting. I forget who it was. I think Nick maybe showed me that the guy from Herman's Hermits did a cover of this song, and I was like, "Oh no, what is this? Is
it's
something."
a version. It's a version. I don't hate it.
It just, I don't think he got what the song was about. I think he took Pretty Things very literally.
Yeah, he makes it sound like a kind of a
Like a
ditzy
love
pop
song or something like that.
Yeah, kind
And
of.
that's not what it's about.
It's interesting though to say
Yeah.
this. Definitely check it out, but
it extremely pales in comparison to David Bowie's one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. No comparison for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is another really strong song on here. Apparently, this was the first song written for the album. And Scott mentioned a little bit of the lyrics, and it's also referencing, because I know he was also putting a little bit of philosophy in here. I know he was a big fan of Friedrich Nietzsche, who was a kind of well-known philosopher. He was really into. But yeah, great piano intro, and definitely has kind of a slightly more upbeat feel, especially when you get to that chorus. Like that chorus is once again really catchy. That's when the whole band kicks in, and just really moves the song along greatly, and it kind of keeps flowing through, going from the more piano driven section to the more bouncy sort of chorus. Overall, it's a very fun track, and I gotta say, I always get a laugh every time you hear him sing "The Authors of," and how much he really emphasizes the word. Overall, great song, great follow-up.
Yeah, really good. Okay, the next, it's not exactly a song, it's more like a track or an interlude. It's the 8-line poem.
Yeah, the 8-line poem, I like it. It's a decent track, but it's not like a song or track that I go back to actively. Like I enjoy it in the context of the album. Like it goes good after "Oh You Pretty Things," but like it's not like, oh, I have to listen to 8-Line Poem. Like that's a must listen to. It's one of those. It's good, but not great. It won't affect the score on the album, but it is my least favorite track on the album for me.
I do not really like the 8-line poem. It's cool that it goes straight from "Oh You Pretty Things" into the 8-line poem, but it's kind of annoying. He's singing about cactus or something. He just goes, "Oh, cacti." I'm like, oh no. It's not a very long song. I'm just like, that this could have been taken off so easily, especially realizing that Life on Mars is in the same key. So if you put "Oh You Pretty Things" and you put Life on Mars right after it, it goes right into Life on Mars instead, and the transition is just as good, if not better. Like, try that sometime. It actually works. Yeah, 8-line poem is a no-go for me.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on it. I mean, kind of a similar sentiments. It's definitely is by far the least interesting song on here. It's you still got a little bit of that piano, but it definitely has a kind of a country aesthetic to it, especially that slide guitar playing you hear a lot. And then you have David really doing this very over the top country style vocal he's doing, which I get. It's definitely not the strongest vocal performance on here, but it's short. It doesn't overstay its welcome, so it's not going to affect my score or anything. But yeah, I will say it is definitely my least favorite song on here.
Well, we go from everyone's least favorite to, well, I know that everyone's at least going to be positive on this next one, "Life on Mars."
Well, goes from my least favorite song on the album to my favorite song on the album. Yeah, I gotta say this is my favorite song on the album. There's a bit of dramatics to it, a little. I love it. It's like the Hunky Dory version of Space Oddity on the second album, and it takes that kind of that space theme and just makes it a heck of a lot better. Like, not that Space Oddity is bad. That's an awesome song, but this song just is better. Like, he manages to top himself, which hats off to David Bowie there. But yeah, this song speaks for itself. You have to listen to it. You have not heard it before. It's a must listen. It's a great song.
This song is fantastic. You don't even get a warning. It just starts off straight with that piano, and he just goes right into singing. The piano with Rick Wakeman is just amazing. There's lots of really cool, just like, he like builds up whenever you get right before the chorus. It's like the no, 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 and it's written 10 times or more. It's about to be written again. When they asked, it's just like building up, and there's this cello that I think you said Mick Ronson did the string arrangements on here.
Yeah, I did a lot
like
of
the
it.
cello is just like boom, 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 boom. It's like building up to that chorus, and then it's like just hits real hard with the sailors fighting in the dance hall. Boom. Yeah, it's like the build up is like chromatically going up, and then when you get to the chorus, it like goes chromatically down, and it's like, this is so musically interesting, especially when you get those strings behind it and the big finish at the end, the dun 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 dun, boom boom, and then it kind of goes back into just the piano. It's like boom 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 boom, and you can kind of hear like a phone ringing in the background. And you're like, what's that? It kind of just, I don't even know exactly how to describe it. It's like, you have to just listen to it and just be immersed fully in the sound of it, because it's something that everyone should listen to. And this also is a notable song for its music video. This is one of the first times where David Bowie would do the costume. He has like in like white makeup and like a green jacket, and like dyed his hair like bright red. And so it's one of David Bowie's, I don't know if that has a character, but it was definitely one of the first notable times that David Bowie was doing a costume.
Yeah, I love this song. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, it's my favorite David Bowie song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, just in general. It's definitely the song that made me kind of a fan of him, because it was definitely a little bit different. Because again, I've said before, it took me a bit to get into Bowie because his vocals, it's very distinct, and it's kind of off-putting when you first hear it. But this song kind of proved to me, like, yeah, he can sing. He's a great singer. And I don't know if it's true. Reportedly, he did this song in one take. So again, I don't know if that's true. I'd like to think that's true, but I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I mean, musically, it's absolutely spectacular. The piano from Rick Wakeman is just gorgeous, and the strings come in, and it just has this great ramp up as it builds into the chorus. And again, it's just one of David's like best vocal performances ever, especially how he really holds his notes, especially at the end. And once the chorus ends, you hear Mick Ronson doing a little guitar thing, which is definitely really not cool. And it's just this nice and epic sort of composition here. And one thing I also want to bring up is I want to bring up the lyrics of this one, because it's one of those things where you probably look at it for the first time and you're like, what the heck is he talking about? Because you kind of have a little bit of a story about this girl who goes to the movie theater, and she's basically just describing what she's looking at. And because there's parts where he name drops John Lennon, and then he name drops Mickey Mouse at one point. And so you're kind of like wondering what does this all mean? And the big thing I kind of get is just it's basically about this person kind of trying to escape reality, trying to find some kind of distraction with the world, and how all this like pressure and stress that goes on, and she just wants to find some kind of escape. And I can see where this song kind of would catch on, because it has a little bit of an alienation sort of theme, kind of feel like an isolation, feel like an outsider. And I think this kind of moral or theme really kind of sparked a chord with a lot of people. I know it's struck a chord with me, because I definitely felt that sort of way, kind of wanting some kind of escape from real life. And that's why it's also one of my favorite songs, because I do get a little bit emotional every time I hear this one. And but still is one of his great masterpieces. Love this track with a passion.
Very good song. Our next song, let me just make sure of what it is.
I think it's Kooks or whatever.
Kooks.
Kooks. Yes, Kooks. I love Kooks. It's a fun song. I mean, it's like a kind of acoustic type of song, and I mean, after the kind of the dramaticness of Life on Mars, like, how do you respond to that? And then it got Kooks, and I'm like, both they're great songs, but for different reasons. And this is another one. I mean, I'll admit a lot of my favorite songs are on side one. I'm not saying it's a side heavy album, but it just happened to put all my favorite songs in side one. But yeah, this is another really good song.
Yeah, this one is really fun. Apparently, it was written for his son, Duncan Jones, who Jason recently brought up was actually a director. Jason knew him as a director and didn't even know he was related to David Bowie. But he was a young kid at the time, and so he wrote kind of just a fun song about just goofing off and having fun with a couple of kooks. Which is interesting, because if I was to describe the vibe of this song, it would be what David Bowie did on his first album, but if it actually worked. Like, if David Bowie's first album was actually good. Like, that's what it would be. Because I really like this album, but I hate most of David Bowie's first album. This song works. It's really fun. I like the guitar strumming on there, and I just like the fun vibes of this song. It's really cool, especially coming right after Life on Mars with all that dramaticism, and then doing a complete 180 and just having a fun little acoustic number there.
Right. Yes. I mean, I also really enjoy the song. I really do like the quirky nature to this one, because again, like we already said, it's going from Life on Mars and then kind of bring it down. Let's get a little goofy now, which I kind of like. I kind of respect that. I really like the horns, which again were done by David, and even the bass player Trevor Bolder actually provides horns. Speaking of Trevor, I actually really like the bass lines of this one. Kind of adds to the whole like kind of jaunty, kind of fun nature of it. And it's just oddly catchy. It's a very memorable kind of melody that we got. Um, it's just a really fun, quirky song, and I really like it.
All right. Well, after that, our last song on the first side is Quicksand.
Yeah, this is a good way to close out the first side of the record. I don't think it's as good as the last two songs, of course, but I think it's a good way to close out side one. It's a nice song. I have nothing much more to add. It's just a song that I like, but it's just kind of there.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this because I know this is one of kind of a fan favorite on this album. I actually didn't really like this one a whole lot. Like I like the Mellotron on there, and I like the acoustic guitar, but I don't know, the song just didn't click. Especially some of the vocal styles, like when he says something about Homo sapiens, like it's like na 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 na, and it's like he has some kind of a distinct voice that I don't mind most of the time, but when he was singing that, I was just like, you're straining your voice a lot there. I mean, lyrically, I think it's more about philosophy because he's a very well-read individual. There's lots of philosophy within this one. But yeah, it's not one of my favorites on this album.
Okay. For me, I think this is one of his best songs on the album. One of the best songs on here. It's one of the best, like, kind of deep cuts on this whole album. And you kind of mentioned a little bit of the philosophy, and there's a bit of that. But the whole idea of the quicksand is supposed to be like a metaphor for this was during a period where again, David was not really a household name yet, and so he was really trying to be success, but he just felt like he was not getting anywhere, and so he kind of felt like his whole career is like he's in quicksand, like he's just sinking, like his whole career is just sinking in front of him, and still is trying to figure himself out. And again, that's kind of another reason, probably a big reason why I enjoy this song, because I can relate to feeling like you're trying to make a living off something, but it just feels like you're kind of stuck. And I think musically it just has a great kind of build up, with the acoustic guitar kind of setting a little tone, but then it kind of starts to ramp up yet again, especially when the piano comes in and then the drumming comes in, and even some nice mellotron playing on the track too, which kind of adds a little bit more to it. And I actually really dug David's vocal delivery. I do enjoy how he's really pushing himself, and I really kind of like he's putting emotion into it. But I can get why it might be. I can see why it's not like didn't really click with you two. But who knows? But it could grow on you two. But I really enjoy the song. It's definitely in my top 5.
All right. Well, that is the first side. Our second side is going to begin with "Fill Your Heart."
Yeah, it's a good way to open up the second side of the record. It's not one of my favorite songs on the album, but I thought it was a good way to start the second side of the record.
I thought this was a fun way to start the second side of the record. It's definitely a more kind of upbeat, jaunty number. Not one of my favorites, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty solid strong. Again, we're kind of Quicksand is kind of another one of the dramatic songs, but now we're back to kind of like more quirky, which I don't mind. And this is I think it's the only song on here where he didn't really write this one. It was he was originally written by 2 people called Biff Rose and Paul Williams. Don't know who else recorded this, but there you go. You got some nice horns and piano yet again, and there's some strings here too. You get a pretty good saxophone solo. I thought that was a pretty nice moment. Overall, it's a pretty feel-good track. I like it, and it does blend into the next one. So it's not one of my all-time favorites here, but it's fun enough.
Okay, our next song is Andy Warhol. Oh wait, no, Andy Warhol. Sorry.
Speaking of Andy Warhol, Velvet Underground, anyone?
Yep. Bowie was a huge fan of them.
Yeah. Anyways, I love this song. This is the I'm ashamed to say it, but this is the one song on side 2 that's on my top 5. This is a guilty pleasure song. It's a guilty pleasure. It's like to me, this is like what We Are Hungry Men did. Right. They're like, it took all of what I kind of liked about that song and actually did something good about it. Like, no angry Nazi Germans, no
no chewing sounds.
No chewing sounds. So he's like, you know what? I'm actually gonna make something good, out of something. And yeah, I love this song. This is it's interesting for sure. And when I first heard the song, I actually did hate it. I was like, what the hell is this? But then I heard the debut David Bowie album, and I'm like,
not nearly as weird as you thought.
This is not as weird as I thought. And then I actually liked it after that because of it.
Just wait till you get to Glass Spider on Never Let Me Down.
That's a song, but we'll get to that. But anyways, I love this song.
Yeah, this is a weird song because the transition is it goes from Feel Your Heart and then you start getting these electronic beeping sounds and you get like some studio chatter going like, this is Andy Warhol, take one. No, that's pronounced Andy Warhol, as in hole. But then he start like getting the actual song, and it's it's kind of a fun song. Again, Bryer mentioned earlier that David Bowie was getting into some American things, and so he pays a lot of homages to famous American artists on here. He did Bob Dylan on the next one. But this was one of the more enjoyable songs on the second side. One of the better ones on the second side.
Yeah, this song was definitely a grower for me because I was kind of like Nick when I first heard the song. I was like, didn't really see much of it, but over the years, it definitely has grown on me a lot. The beginning thing is definitely goes on for a bit. It goes on for like 47 seconds, and you're like, okay, I get it. Of course, it was just an outtake. They just left in because that was funny. But once the song gets in, you have a nice, good, kind of a heavy acoustic riff, which is definitely kind of gets it moving. It's got a good vibe. I like the chorus too. I think the chorus is pretty good when they're just chanting Andy Warhol, and kind of a pretty good vibe overall. And yeah, it's a pretty fun song. And I will just mention one little tidbit because David actually did send this song to Andy Warhol to see if he would get like an opinion on him from the guy. And you know what he got? He got nothing. He didn't he got no response. But later on, apparently, even though Andy didn't tell David, he actually told his friends that apparently, he hated the track. So probably good thing he didn't really tell him.
All right. Well, we have another homage to an American artist, a staple of American folk music. We have "Song for Bob Dylan."
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I love this song. I want this in my top 5. But then there's songs like "Changes," "All You Pretty Things," "Kooks," "Life on Mars." I can't make a top 5 with more than 5 songs, guys. Oh well. But yeah, it's another song I really like. I mean, singing a song about Bob Dylan, I mean, that never gets old. Nothing beats Bob Dylan wise. I'm forgetting the name of the song, but it's like I knew a man, brains are small, couldn't think nothing at all. Not the same as you and me. Doesn't dig poetry. When you're talking about Dylan, he thinks Dylan Thomas, whoever he was. You know what I'm talking about.
Man ain't got no culture.
But it's all right, Ma. Everybody must get stoned. But yeah. Great song, though. And great David Bowie song.
I really like this one because it starts out just kind of like a folk song, and then all of a sudden he starts saying, now hear this, Robert Zimmerman. I'm going to tell you about this man named Dylan. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. And the whole thing is just an homage to Bob Dylan. Even the style. I really like this one. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, this is a another pretty fun track. Really strong one here. Again, for all the reasons we said, then musically is really nice. Just a nice little tribute to Bob Dylan. And interesting thing, because going back to the lyric side of things, like we all know it's an homage to Bob Dylan, but I've also read, and if you really look at it, you can also see it also being a kind of another way of David trying to wrap around his own identity, because the whole stage persona, because Bob Dylan's just the stage name of Robert Zimmerman, and so again we have David Bowie, who was originally David Jones, so it's probably kind of him just kind of empathizing with Bob in a different set, which I kind of think is really really cool, especially if you think of that in that context. But overall, great track. Love the guitar solo too. Really, really strong number.
All right, our next song. I hope YouTube doesn't demonetize me for saying this. It's called Queen.
Yeah, Queen, great song. Again, it's I wouldn't would this consider to be one of his big songs?
No.
It wasn't really a single.
Because I know there's a song by Elton John that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Well, the is back. The witch is back. But yeah, this is another good song. Again, didn't make my top 5, sadly. This was on any other. I mean, if this was on the debut album, this would be probably my favorite song on the album. But yeah, this is another great song for me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but this has always been one of my favorites on the album.
This song is straight up Ziggy before Ziggy was a thing. So that guitar, if that bow, 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 down, down, with the kind of the more hard rock sound, he found his sound. He didn't even know it yet, but he had found his sound on this song right here. This is the most Ziggy Stardust sounding song on this album. It's pointing to where he's going on the next album, and so it's really cool to hear like how David Bowie found his sound here. That being said, I do think that most of the songs on Ziggy Stardust are a lot stronger. So it's cool to hear him like playing around with this style, but I wouldn't say that it's one of his strongest songs. But I do think this is still going to make my top 5 on this album, though, because it's really cool getting in that groove.
This is another one of my favorite songs on here. Again, it's probably the most rocking song on here. Almost gives off a little bit of a proto-punk sort of sound, which is how fast-paced and raw it is, which I like a lot. And yeah, it definitely does showcase what's to come, especially in terms of lyrics, because it's a very... I'm not sure if I'm going to get too deep into the lyrics on this one, but it's steamy. I love the guitar playing. Again, we get to hear more of that great Mick Ronson guitar. And again, Bowie doing another one of his very over-the-top theatrical sort of vocal, which I think is really fun, really adds to the whole tone. Drums and bass are great, just locked into it. And yeah, it's like I said, it's another one of my favorite songs on here. A lot of fun.
Okay, I believe our next song is the last one. Mm-hmm. That's correct. It's the Bewlay Brothers. It's the final song on the album.
Yeah, this is another song I really enjoyed on the album. Great way to close out the record. Again, did not make my top 5, but again, side 2 is, I really like side 2. It's just he put all the best songs on side 1. What am I supposed to do? Again, this is an example of me loving every song on the album. Well, I wouldn't say
type 8-line poem.
I wouldn't say that's like a song, but all the songs I really enjoyed, but it's just all the best songs happen to be on the first side. It's not like, only the good songs are on side 1. It's just the best songs happen to be on side 1. But yeah, great album closer for me.
This song sounds the closest to Man Who Sold the World of all the songs on the album. It reminds me a lot of the song After All from the last album, that and Running Gun Blues. Mainly because this is another song that has to do with mental health, and specifically his brother. I know his brother was struggling with mental health, and so he kind of wrote this song as a tribute to his brother, if I'm not mistaken. Near the end, there's like some weird backing vocals. That's like, it's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's a very moody and atmospheric piece and a very somber end to this album. Like most of this album, we've had some jaunty little numbers. We've had a couple of thought-provoking pieces like Life on Mars, and then we end off with this on a very somber note. And I think it's kind of a really good ending to this album. Kind of just solidifying the end here. I like this one.
Right. Yeah, I also really enjoy the song a lot. Yeah, and solely because I love the more somber approach to this one, because I like sort of somber stuff apparently, but I just like the tone of it. This acoustic guitars are really nice. I like David's vocals yet again, and I really enjoy the kind of, I guess you can say, the chorus, because you have, especially when there's like some kind of a horn, there might be more saxophone. I loved how that it kind of blends into it and just kind of elevates it to something I probably when I first heard it, I didn't expect it, but glad it did. And yeah, it's just an absolute great kind of moody way to close out the album. Yeah, it's nice perfect fade out, I will say too. But yeah, it's an excellent closing track. Really enjoy it.
Okay, well, it's time for the top 5.
Okay, number 5, I'm gonna go with Andy Warhol. Number 4, I will go with Kooks. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Changes. Number 2, All You Pretty Things. And my favorite song on the album, I did spoil earlier, is in fact Life on Mars.
My number 5 is the song for Bob Dylan. Number 4, Queen Bee. Number 3, Oh You Pretty Things. Number 2, Changes. And number 1, Life on Mars. We're going to have a trifecta, I think.
I'm a Queen Bee. As soon as you say Queen Bee, I'm like, I'm a Queen Bee.
I'm a King Bee.
Right. So my top 5. Number 5, I have the Bewlay Brothers. Number 4, I have Queen. Yeah, fill in the blank. Number 3, Quicksand. Number 2, Changes. And number 1, I can't believe no one's guessed it, 8-line Poem. I can't believe you didn't guess it. Can you?
Really?
Yeah, no. It's, of course it's Life on Mars. Like, I'm not from Mars. I'm not that crazy.
I was to say, is your favorite song on that one Fleetwood Mac album, Family Man? Then
No.
No,
Don't start that again.
Yeah, I'll forever hate that song.
Yeah, me too.
Not as much as Dust My Broom, but
Yeah.
Well,
close.
which one, Bryer?
There's 4 of them.
1, 2, 3, or 4.
All of them.
What about the one on the first album that's like Dust My Broom?
I don't remember it.
My heart be like a hammer.
Okay. What about a score out of 10? What are we going to score this out of 10?
Well, for me, I will give this a 10 out of 10. I could dock it for 8-line Poem, but the highs are just kind of the reason why I give Revolver a 10. It's just, to me, the highs are too high to not give it a 10.
Extremely high highs on this album. I'm going to give it a 9. 8-line Poem. I didn't enjoy Quicksand as much, and the B-side is good. Like, all the songs on the B-side are really good, but all of the absolutely amazing stuff is on the first side. So while I still love this album, it's because I'm on my new rating system, I'm gonna give it a 9. But if I give something a 9 or even an 8, that still means I really like the album. 7 or 6 is good but not great. 5 is average, and anything under 5 is bad. So I'm gonna go with 9.
Yep. For me, it's a 10. Like I said, it's always been one of my favorite albums from him. It's probably might be the album I play the most. Like, if I'm ever in a Bowie fix, this is usually my go-to. Because again, the songwriting just absolutely great, and really like his vocals all the way through. And just, yeah, I enjoy every song on here. And even though I'm not, 8-line Poem's kind of an outlier, and it's short, doesn't really affect me too much. And even the songs I have near the bottom of my ranking, I still think are really strong and really fun. So yeah, I can definitely say, goes without saying, this is just like his first like real, I guess, classic sort of album. You could throw The Man Who Sold the World in there, but for me, this is where David really starts to get really good.
Okay, so having calculated the average comes out to 9.66666666 infinite repeating 6. So we're just going to go ahead and round up and say it averages a 10. So, not a Man Who Sold the World, Hunky Dory. Hunky Dory is going to average at a 10 out of 10 for all three of us. So that means it's our highest rated David Bowie album so far, with, I think, Man Who Sold the World under that, David Bowie Space Oddity under that, and then, to no one's surprise, David Bowie 1967 is the one with the least amount. So thank you guys for watching. We will be back next time with the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which is actually going to be a really cool video because the very first video on this channel was a review of that album. So I'm going to be not redoing, but doing the same video as I did for my very first video. So that will be really cool and a big milestone in the channel. Until next time, music is art, art is expression. We will see you then. You guys got anything else you want to say before we go?
Well, just another great David Bowie album.
Hopefully it won't take 5 years for us to do that one.
Yeah. There's a starman waiting in the sky. All right. We will see you for Ziggy Stardust. Take care.